Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Profile Friday. In this one, we actually have a super cool one, as this one here is actually going to be showing the deck that I played at last night's Halloween trick-or-treat tournament, the trick-or-treat cup. And yeah, it's a very special Halloween themed Halloween themed competition, and there was actually a set of rules for this that we all had to abide by. And I just wanted to go over the rules before that, but before the actual profile, and then get to the actual profile. So this is called the Trick or Treat Cup. And the rules were the deck building and special rules. 40 card deck, so pretty much the same thing as a pre-release. 4 prizes, 30-minute rounds, best of 1. Obviously, so practically a pre-release. But the stipulations, the main ones, are an uncommon rarity or lower, including trainers and special energies. So that means no Professor's Research, no Marnie, no boss's orders, none of those, right? And then the other stipulation is that you can only use a max of 2 copies of each card name in your deck except basic energy. And that is absolutely huge for deck building, because the cards that require you to have more of that named Pokemon on your bench or something like that, right? That's actually pretty tough, right? Because now that's going to be drastically reduced. And then obviously the other main part is its standard format. So with a restricted card list, which we'll get to. The entry fee, was a non-perishable food donation. So craft dinner makes perfect sense. And the start of the round will just randomly decide if it's a trick or a treat round. If there's an even number of rounds, then it's one of each. And then the trick rounds, right, and the treat rounds each have special rules, right? So if it's a trick round, all Pokemon in play have no retreat costs for the entire game, which is crazy. And then the treat rounds, after determining all effects and damage modifications of attacks, each player flips a coin. If heads, that attack deals an additional 20 damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. If the attack places damage counters, place an additional 2 damage counters instead on the opponent's active Pokemon. And then it comes with its own V-Star power, right? The V-Star power says all Psychic and Dark Pokemon have the following V-Star power. So it makes sense it's those, because they're both Halloween themed. Ability Spooky Star. You may shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw a number of cards equal to the number of Pokemon you have in play. So that is awesome. So it really makes you want to set up a high bench. And then the restricted cards, right? So there is a restricted card section. You can only use 1 scoop up net in your deck, and then later on Roxanne was limited to 1 as well. And everything else is free game. Is 2 per deck, as in the rules. Except basic energy, obviously. So this is really cool, and I really I took this tournament pretty seriously, because I think it's great. Instead of just playing standard or whatever, right? To play an alternative format that truly tests your skill as a player in terms of deck building, which like I've mentioned in my previous videos. Deck building is something that a lot of people lack in today's game. It used to be more, more done back in the olden days when they didn't have as much information online, and all the decks, were kept secret until like the actual tournament, especially with techs, right? Teching in, let's say, like a Latios EX Delta in something like a Meta Knight in 2007 or whatever, right? Or a Rayquaza Star in the Meta Knight deck that was in the 2006 format. I believe it was Eric Nance with the Mewtwo, right? That was kept really, really secret, right? And I wanted to take this pretty seriously, and I want to show off the deck. So the deck that I played is mainly a Psychic deck, and you're probably going to recognize a lot of the cards. But one of the things that I decided on playing was 2 Shiinotic here with 2 Morlo. These here are absolutely awesome. Morlo there is 60 HP, 1 retreat, no resistance, weakness to metal, so I don't think metal is going to be played too much. Spore there for a colorless, makes your opponent's active asleep. And then its second attack for a Psychic colorless flop, it does 20, which is cool for a basic. And then Shiinotic there. This is an awesome card for this format, I feel. It's Psychic type, obviously, so it gets to use that V-Star power. It has 110 HP, 2 retreat, which is a little bit high, but, like I mentioned earlier, you have those trick or treat rounds, right? If it's a trick, then you can have free retreat the whole game, so that's easy. Flickering Light there for a colorless, it does 30, and then you flip a coin if heads. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack, which is awesome. And then its second attack, Fear the Forest, for a Psychic and a colorless. If Glimwood Tangle is in play, this attack does 60 more damage. So that is 120 for 2 energies. And this is absolutely amazing, because I feel like in this format, most of your Pokemon are going to be between that 100 to 120 mark, right? There's going to be a few that may slip into that 130, 140, right? But you also do have that treat round, right, where you can possibly deal that extra 20 damage to get that KO. So that is the main Pokemon in the deck, but there also is a few supplementary attackers. The other one being Lunatone. And then you have Solrock obviously supporting it. So I don't need to really go into too much explanation with these. Lunatone and Solrock both at 90 HP, retreat cost of 1. Solrock there has resistance to nothing and weakness to grass, whereas Lunatone has resistance to fighting and weakness to dark. Now Dark's not too bad of a type, but I really feel like with Dark that they're going to be lacking a lot of attackers, right? Or their attacker is going to be costing a little bit too much, and I feel like I can outspeed them, right? And, Lunatone there obviously has that, the Solrock has that Sun Energy ability. Once during your turn, you may attach a Psychic Energy card from your discard pile to one of your Lunatone. So that's really awesome. You're able to power that up quicker. And then its attack there for a fighting colorless spinning attack that does 50. So you could potentially hit weakness on Dark, as well as hit weakness on colorless Pokemon, right? Which I do expect to be played as well. Or had expect to be played, pardon me. And then Cycle Draw, right? On the Lunatone there, discard a card from your hand. And if you do, draw 3 cards. So it's got a built-in draw engine. And then it's a second attack there for 3 colorless Moon Kinesis. Does 30 damage plus 30 more. Pardon me. Does 30 more damage plus 30 more for each Psychic Energy attached to this Pokemon. So you're able to do 120 damage just with 3 Psychics on it, right? And that's absolutely amazing. And then lastly as well, I do play one other attacker, right? And that is Hitmonchan from Evolving Skies here. 110 HP, a retreat cost of 1, no resistance, weakness to psychic. So pretty cool. It is single strike, but we don't play single strike energy, right? Because I don't think we needed it. 2 awesome attacks, right? Clean hit does 20 damage for a fighting. And then if your opponent's active is an evolved Pokemon, this attack does 50 more damage. So that is 70 if they're evolved. And if you're able to hit weakness on them, so let's say they're a lightning type or a colorless type, and sometimes a dark type, but I think most of the dark type Pokemon as of late have that grass weakness, you're able to get that one-shot knockout. And that's excluding the treat, if it's a treat round. So that's super, super cool. And that is all the Pokemon that we have in the deck, right? I only played 9, right? The 2/2 Shiinotic line, 2 Lunatone, 2 Solrock, and a Hitmonchan. And the reason why is because I wanted to make sure that we get a fast setup, right? Because that's what's important in this game, in this tournament. And so I want to go into supporters now. We have 2 Cynthia's Ambition. I have a single Bruno. I have 1 Clara, a Karina's Focus, and a Roxanne. These here I feel are pretty much the best draw cards. Cynthia's Ambition is pretty good because you can draw cards until you have 5, and then if your opponent knocked out a Pokemon, you draw cards until you have 8. So really good. Bruno is a shuffle draw, right? You can shuffle draw and draw 4, or if one of your Pokemon was knocked out, you shuffle draw and draw 7. Clara is a neat little recovery card. It's great with getting Lunatones back, or Shiinotic, or Hitmonchan. Karina's Focus is just draw until you have 6, and then Roxanne, being a 4-prize format, after your opponent has taken 1 prize, this card becomes live. So, and this is where you want to have, those extra draw supporters, because I expect to get Roxanne, after I take my first prize. So, and that's the supporters. And then we do have these stadiums, and I'm sure you probably all have guessed it, but we do play 2 Glimwood Tangle, and this is it for the stadium. Glimwood Tangle, once during each player's turn, after that player flips any coins for an attack, they may ignore all results of those coin flips and begin flipping those coins again. So this is great with that first attack on Shiinotic there, right? The flickering light, you're able to flip that coin again and then potentially stop them from attacking. So really, really good. And that's it for the stadiums. I didn't want to play Pokestop because I felt like Pokestop would give my opponent too much advantage. And I feel like we can just absolutely run through the deck the way that it's supposed to be, the way that I designed it to be. So we have for items 2 Fog Crystal, right? Searches out a basic Pokemon or a Psychic Energy, which is awesome. 2 Pokemon Catcher, because this is the substitute to Boss's Orders, right? 2 Quick Ball, because that combos really well with the Solrock's Sun Energy, and we're able to get out basics a lot quicker. So if I draw Fog Crystal and Quick Ball in the same hand, I'll typically search for a Psychic Energy, then discard the Psychic Energy for the Solrock or the Lunatone, depending on which one I need, and then get it into play. 2 Ultra Ball, right, as those are needed to get out the Shiinotic, right? And they're all, like I said earlier, with the Quick Ball, they also help to get that Psychic Energy into the discard pile, so you can Sun Energy. We do have 1 Air Balloon, just in case if we need to retreat. one level ball, right? It searches out practically every Pokemon, excluding Shiinotic and Hitmonchan, so it's really useful. We do have an ordinary rod, just in case if we need some recovery. We do have Clara as well. One switch, right? Because switch does switch. And then a single vitality band here, right? This allows us to hit that 130 mark, right? With the Lunatone there, right? Because it adds 10 damage on top of the 120. And that is it for the trainers, supporters, and stadiums. And then lastly, we have the energies, right? And I literally treated this like a pre-release, right? With a pre-release, you typically want to play, 10, 12 Pokemon or so, about 20 trainers and about 10 energy, right? Give or take. So I decided to play 10 energies. I got 6 psychic, 2 captured to search out our basics, and then 2 fighting for the Lunatone and the Hitmonchan. So really, really pleased with this deck. And yeah, what an awesome tournament. So I will have a tournament report coming up on the Saturday, right? And I'll go over kind of how that went and what I faced. And we'll go from there. So awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. And once again, if you like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, like the video and subscribe, as I'm always trying to produce quality content. Fridays are deck profile Fridays, so I cover a deck from either the current Sword and Shield on format or any past format up until base set only, right? And I go over the ins and outs on how to play the deck and what its weaknesses are. Sundays are live openings, right? So I open a Pokemon TCG product, typically something current, and kind of go over what's inside it, what I like about it, what I didn't like about it, and would I buy it again or recommend it to somebody new. And then Wednesdays are live gameplay Wednesdays, where I'll play something on Pokemon TCG Online, right? And practically the same thing as the deck profile Friday, but I'll actually kind of show how it works and how its matchups are. So, and any little tips that I would do during each game to get a victorious outcome. So, and that is it. So thank you so much for watching, and once again, see you in the next video.